Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasurer. My name is Jeff Pospisil, and in this video I want to go over 4 principles to guide the UMC through the split. And so if you are United Methodist, you're probably aware that the denomination is splitting. And with the postponement or cancellation of General Conference, we don't have any ground rules on how to really do this well. So it's up to every conference to do their own thing, and now that the Global Methodist denomination is launching on May 1st, there's going to be a number of churches wanting to leave the United Methodist denomination and join that. And there are stories from other conferences where things are getting ugly, on both sides. They're getting ugly. People are just really acting out in a very bad way. I don't know how else to say it. In the Dakotas UMC, though, we want this to go well. We want an amicable separation, has been the words we've been using, and we don't want to participate in all that ugliness. So one of the things I've done is talking with my mentors, talking with my team, is put down 4 principles to help guide us in the Dakotas UMC, and if any other conference wants to borrow it, good for you. So if you know me, you know that I love a really good graph. They say that a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, a good graph is worth about 1,000,000 words in my opinion. This graph, I think, helps show our main problem as a United Methodist. So this is the Methodist saturation rate in the Dakotas. So what I did is I looked at the population of North and South Dakota, and I compared it to the members plus the constituents, plus then I actually doubled the number of constituents, because there's a lot of people that just consider themselves United Methodist, but they're not on our books. So anyway, that's the most generous view I can give us for United Methodists. And what I found out is in the 1970s, we had about 7% of the population in the Dakotas was United Methodists. So, and then that just continues to go down until 2020, where we're at about 3.5%. Kind of interesting, though. It was right around 2010 we decided to stop arguing about homosexuality on the conference floor and any other thing that we really couldn't handle in our own power and within our own control. And we started reversing that trend over the last 5 or so years. So very interesting. So I do think part of our issue is that we end up fighting ourselves instead of focusing on the mission. And now, because maybe not everybody appreciates graphs as much as I do, here is a picture of a cross and flame over North and South Dakota. Now, this is what it would look like if it was at 25% saturation. So that's way more than we've ever been, as far as I know, probably in the history of the Dakotas. This is what it looks like at 7% saturation. So you can see it still looks like a watermark maybe. Here's what it looks like at 3%, and you could easily not see that. And that's what I think is my fear, is that we are so diluted that we're not even really making an impact. There's not enough of us. It's about 1 in 30 is United Methodist, and we're just not able to have the same impact as if there was 1 in 10 being United Methodist. As United Methodists, and especially conference leadership, we're going to have really 2 choices on which way we want to go. We can go the Rocky 4 route, where we see ourselves, no matter if you're GMC or UMC, we see ourselves as Rocky, and every punch we punch, it's for justice. It's to beat those cheating, evil guys on the other side, and we're going to waste our energy and we're going to waste our money on fighting the other side. Or we can see this as a necessary separation. And this happens to be parents dropping their kids off at Dakota Wesleyan for the first day of school. And I like that, because as a parent of teenagers, it's becoming more and more clear that they want to be independent, and they need to be independent. And probably it's unhealthy for us to stay under the same roof for long term. So how can we help them be independent and still want them to come back for Thanksgiving? And that was a lot of build up just to get to these 4 guiding principles. And I'm just going to list them, And again, this isn't anything official. This is what's going to kind of guide my work, and I'm hoping that others will also see this and adopt this as well. The first one is staying on the road while keeping the destination in mind. Second one is a good home for every church and every pastor. The third one is faithfulness in our commitments, especially to retirees. And the last one is a separation that encourages future cooperation. For the principle of staying on the road while keeping the destination in mind, this is the picture that comes to my mind. This is driving on the interstate near Fargo in winter. Just about as tough a driving conditions as you can have. And let's just say you have a very important destination to get to. So ideally, you would like to stay between the lines and not have to swerve or anything like that. But what happens if maybe the two vehicles in front of you are stuck for whatever reason? Well, then it might be acceptable to go over the line as long as you don't go off the road, because if you go off the road, you're not getting anywhere. You're not going to get to your destination if you go off the road. But if you go over the line, it might be acceptable if that's the only way to get to your destination. So in the denominational world, our lines are the book of discipline. And there is an ideal within the book of discipline. And then there is, the allowable creativity allowed within the book of discipline. So to be able to interpret rules in a favorable way versus a strict way. And so there might be times we come to a roadblock where we have to say, okay, this is the favorable interpretation that we need to take, cross that line, but we can't go too far over this way. Otherwise, we are going to get stuck and we're going to cause more damage and really prevent us from getting to that ultimate destination. The second principle is a good home for every church and every pastor. So ideally what this looks like is that we want every pastor in every church to belong to the denomination that they can thrive in, a denomination that has the same values, that encourages them, that supports them, that loves them, that kind of a healthy family in a way. And so part of what we're doing is helping churches and pastors discern their home. We're doing values workshops because many churches haven't probably articulated their values. And so it's nice to figure out what you believe, what you actually have for values. And that way, when representatives from the United Methodist Church or the Global Methodist Church come in and talk to you, you're not just looking at a price tag. What is it going to cost for me to stay or go? You're looking at, where do I fit? Do their values align with mine? So is their vision aligned with mine? The third principle is faithfulness in our commitments to each other. And this plays out in a number of different ways. One of the most important ways, I think, is our relational commitment, in that we remember that we're on the same team. You know, up until the date that a church separates, or the date that a pastor turns in their credentials to become Global Methodist, we're on the same team. So we don't disparage those that are staying or leaving. We just remember that we are on the same team. The next one is in apportionments, and you might think I'm just talking about those that are planning to join the Global Methodist denomination. They should be faithful up until the date that they separate. They should be faithful. Also, for integrity's sake, those that are planning on staying with the United Methodist denomination need to be faithful too, because I'm an annual conference treasurer. I know that there are a number of churches that are not all that faithful in their apportionment giving. So I just encourage both sides to be faithful in this. And the last one that I think is important is, especially to our retirees, that we are faithful in making sure that they are cared for. I think of them as the more vulnerable piece of this, so that we are confident in that they're not going to be cut somehow in all this, and we're faithful to those commitments. The fourth principle is a separation that encourages future cooperation. So let's just say we have churches and pastors that they've gone through the discernment process. They are convinced that the Global Methodist denomination is a good home for them. They've been faithful in their commitments. Then we should send them off on good terms. We can't send them off in a way that is almost punitive for leaving. Why would they want to join with us in partnering on camps or disaster recovery or Native American ministries if we slap them on the way out? So here's my thoughts, and this is just my own thoughts on what it looks like. And I'm using Aberdeen First United Methodist Church as an example. They are likely to join the Global Methodist denomination. So for a church, the process needs to be clear and concise. So it can't be the confusing, overly burdened, overly legalistic way that we are sometimes prone to doing it. It has to be coordinated with the Global Methodist denomination because they have to actually receive that church. And the last one is it has to be inexpensive. So if you make the process too burdensome, if you make it too expensive, I think you're just opening yourself up for legal issues or people to just say, forget it, make me pay this, there's issues there. Now for a pastor, an active pastor, again, a clear and concise process. What does it look like? Coordinating with the GMC so that they are going to receive that pastor. And then the one I throw in there is retiree health ? And the reason I do that is in the Dakotas UMC, our pastors do normally vest their health insurance. If they are a Dakotas UMC member and they have 20 years of service at a church, they vest. And so I'm not exactly sure what that would look like, but anyway, I am thinking about that. That should be considered. And then the last one is we have a number of retired pastors that will also be open to joining the Global Methodist denomination. Again, clear and concise process, coordinating with the GMC. And this is one where I would definitely include them in retiree health. I would not cut off the retiree health for leaving the Global leaving to go to the Global Methodist denomination. So because part of my concern is, let's just say you have people that are trapped because they want to keep their retiree health benefit. They're just going to go to your annual conference, the United Methodist annual conference, and be a pain. At least that's what I would probably do if I felt like I was being held hostage. So that's my 2 cents on what it means to, or looks like, to be sent off in good terms. In the Dakotas UMC, we've had leaders from both sides hammering out these issues, but one of the main things we've been trying to do is put together a resolution to help us cooperate into the future. And I've shared this graphic in a town hall meetings, and we've managed to update that a little bit as the resolution looks like it's about in its final form. And I'm going to share, it's still kind of in draft, the resolution of what it looks like to cooperate in the future. So the resolution that I'm going to link in the description, it calls for the creation of a committee, very, very Methodist, the Inter-Methodist Relations Committee. But that'll be the official committee that is able to negotiate with the official Global Methodist Church leadership. So as the Global Methodists get up and running, they're going to have an official body that's able to talk with us. And who knows what the cooperation will look like. We have a lot of ideas, but I think the resolution is really solid. I think it gives us a clear path for cooperation. All right, that was a little more than 10 minutes. I'm at almost 14 minutes, I see. Hopefully this has been good, and I am planning on diving a little bit more in how the church is affected, how active pastors are affected, and how retirees are affected. I just think this is a very important issue. All right, till next time, God bless.